welcome back to another episode of Performance Talk. You know I'm back with the Queen Tonya of Apex Takeover podcast, and we're about to pop on some topics that have definitely been running amok. Has some of you fooled, has some of you cursing people out, talking about you don't know what the hell you talking about. It's fake, it's fake, it's fake. The shit ain't fake, it's real. Lewis Hamilton 2025 going to Ferrari. How the hell you feeling about that, Tonya?
Oh my goodness. Well, I just want to first off say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jay, for having me on the show today. And when the news broke, you were like one of the first people that I reached out to because I couldn't believe it. I got up maybe around like 6 EST, and I had already started to get notifications from people from the UK. And I'm like, okay, I'm not participating in this type of gossip. Now, I will participate in a little bit of messy gossip, but I'm not going to participate in this type of gossip unless I know it's certified, bona fide, true. Right. And it wasn't until maybe like 9-10 o'clock EST that the confirmation started to come out through a lot of the major media, like right. Sky Sports. And then also heard the rumblings of Toto Wolff, 2 p.m. England time. They're going to be having this meeting. What's the meeting going to be about? So I think once that had came out and Toto Wolff actually made his statement, that's when I was like, oh my goodness, it is true.
For real. I'm trying to tell you, I was already up at like 3. So I'm up at 3:40, 3:30, I'm down here doing my dips and shit, and I get a little notification. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I said the same thing. I said, oh, here we go with this again.
Right.
So about 4:58, 5, shit just kept building. I said, oh, this shit might be real. So about 6, I went on to just address it. Like, hey, if it's real, we're going to see if it's confirmed, but I'm not buying into it.
So you went on live? You were on like live on
like
YouTube?
6 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 6 a.m. Like, let me just go ahead and address it and see,
oh my
let
gosh,
people know, like, chill.
Okay, I see your notification like pop up, but it was still early for me, so that's why you were on, because you were like, what's going on? So what was the consensus of your community? Like, what did they think?
Man, my community was like, don't fall for it again. This is not real. I got somebody that's heavy in the community, like, she never lose faith. She's like, this is just fake. It's not real. And I'm looking at it like this. I don't see why I should discount it for not being real, but at the same time, we've been here before, so I'm going to wait for a lot of more accurate and more authorized construct. Like if F1 posted, shit's real. If right. Mercedes mentions it and posts it, it's real. So I'm waiting for those. But in the meantime, I'm telling people, I wouldn't be mad at Lewis. I'm not mad at Lewis. He's done a lot of great things in his career. We've witnessed him do great things in Formula One. He is the greatest driver in Formula One. If the brother decides that on the back half of my career, I don't want to be with Mercedes, so damn be it. I don't give a shit. It's his life. He done great things. Y'all don't watch him. Go do it, Lewis. Go drive for Ferrari. I already said the Ferrari has more to gain by getting Lewis Hamilton, and Lewis Hamilton has to gain by getting with Ferrari. And I still do believe that. The stock price shows that shit. Stock jumped. That shit was teetering like this, and all of a sudden the shit just looked like this. On whatever YouTube, whatever Yahoo Finance, wherever you want to go check Thursday Ferrari stock price. Look at the volume. Look at the chart. That's Lewis Hamilton right there. So yeah, they gotta come on now.
Well, it seems to me like he was involved in a marriage. I mean, he's been with the Mercedes brand for over 20 years. You know, right. So look at it from that aspect. But then he's been with the team for 11 years. So I think that was a hesitation for me to believe if the information was true or not. But when you look at his motorsport career, there's no room to be stagnant, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4, especially given how old he is, how long he's already been in the sport, what his objectives are going to be in the next, I don't know, however long he's going to be in the sport. You think he's going to be in there for 4 more years? I think it's like 4 more
seasons, maybe.
Which makes sense. So why not try something new? And also, Ferrari, when you look at Ferrari as a house in itself, they have been in Formula One the longest. They do have the most championships. A lot of the drivers, which is Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel, world champions, Kimi Räikkönen, they have all driven for the prancing horse. So to me, when you think about it from that macro level,
right.
That macro level of perspective there, it seems like it does make sense for Lewis. And the way that Carlos Sainz, and I guess we'll get to Carlos Sainz a little bit later, but the way that Carlos Sainz was able to put that car first many of times in 2023, it makes sense to me. The only thing that gives me pause and why I'm cautiously optimistic, well, for one, because I'm like, what am I going to do with all my Mercedes merch? Like,
Shit, what they gonna
It
do
was
with it?
so
Because
hard.
that shit ain't finna sell.
No. And I was just thinking too, like, all right, for one, I was thinking more on the lines of, what are they like? So what's Tommy Hilfiger going to do? Because Tommy Hilfiger is with Mercedes because of Lewis. What are all the major sponsorships and partnerships that Lewis Hamilton has brought to Mercedes, like Accelerate 25, that was a joint venture between Mercedes and also Lewis Hamilton. Where is that going to go? Is Mercedes still going to honor that, even though Lewis Hamilton isn't going to be part of the team after 2025?
Right.
What about the Mission 44 statement? Is Ferrari going to adopt that Mission 44 whole synergy thing that he has going on with bringing more people of color into motorsport? And to me, if you look at it on that aspect and Ferrari says yes, and we see engineers of color on the Ferrari team, like, come on, that's a win.
Big point. That's a win. And I think that in itself has been a bit of concern, even when it first, earlier when these rumblings came out, and it was really fake news then. But remember, I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. So evidently, maybe overemphasized, but not completely fake. Because my grandfather's always told me that every lie has truth in it, because there is no lie without the truth. So even then, talks were probably happening, but it overemphasized, and it was like, nah, let's chill back. And I also want to credit Charles, because Charles said in a press conference, like, why wouldn't you want to learn from the best in the game? And he's often even said that Lewis is the 7-time world champion. So I think it'd be good. But let me ask you this. The big question to a lot of people is going to be why? What happened? What's the straw that broke the back? What's the reason that the divorce happened? And I'm going to tell you, I think there are multiple answers for that question. I think that one, we can go back to 2021. Mercedes got their 8th. Lewis didn't get his, but I think it's more so not about that he didn't get it was damaging and it's hurt and it was something that was wrong done in the sport. But I think it's the point that Mercedes honestly didn't stand up to the fight. Regardless of what it was going to cost, regardless of what was in the balance, they didn't stand up to the fight for something that was right, and they went ahead and went in the direction of something that was wrong for the sake of the bottom line, for the sake that we want to compete. And then, you know what? Fine, we want to compete. What are y'all going to do? That's one. Two, you come back 2022 with a shitbox ass car. I can't compete if I even wanted to, and I'm doing the best I can. But you know what? I got to go ahead, since you built a piece of shit, I got to go ahead and try to do the data collection thing, let George run off, go through all this now that I'm washed up and I'm trying to collect data so we can come back 2023 with the right thing. Then they don't listen to Lewis about the car. They come back out again in the same damn direction that's not working, and then have to change midstream to a direction that's a bit better but still not fixed. And then several situations with George Russell not knowing his damn place in the team, not as far as not being the best he can be, not as far as not trying to win races, but as far as character and integrity wise, as far as Mercedes puts two drivers on strategy, they don't want to give one an unfair advantage, and George went against that more than one time. And I think that's what caused Lewis to say, you know what, I got to reevaluate my position. I'm not above being wrong, and I'm not above realizing that I'm in a situation that might not be the best for me. It's time for me to go. What do you say? Of course.
Because when you're in a team like that and you are in a dogfight all year and then it ends like that. And I mean, as a Mercedes fan, I felt that way too. I was like, okay, you guys are happy because you have 8th, but he doesn't. So I don't know if it was Lewis, let's not go crazy. Let's not, go punt kicking chairs. We'll just get you a car. We'll compete next year and we'll come back stronger next year. I think Lewis gave them the benefit of the doubt at that point. It was like, okay, all right, we won't go crazy. We won't go demanding that they rescind the championship winnings and give it to me, which that's what they should have done, but they didn't. And he played along with all the implementation of the new rules and all this other stuff that they said that they were going to put in place for the next season. But like you said, when he showed up back at Mercedes and the car was not performing, he is a competitor at heart. He always has been. He always will be. And there's only so many times that you could put on a good face, even though you're facing adversity in your team. You feel like, and I don't even know like how he felt. I know that there's probably a lot of things that he will not disclose because he doesn't want to throw anybody underneath the bus. But to me, it kind of felt like betrayal's a strong word, but it's like, yeah, but when he's on a press conference and he actually says, they're not listening to me, I'm like, holy crap.
Right.
And then they go and he even like the first year they came back, and I know, now correct me if I'm wrong, they were testing when they were doing like the zero side pods and trying to do any and everything to figure out what would work for the car. He took a lot of that brunt of responsibility to see how the new parts would perform on his car, which cost him being able to be at the front of the grid when George Russell was still in the front. And he was struggling like in the back because they were trying to figure out new car setups or new bits and pieces that they were putting on the car. So he did his due diligence of giving them the benefit of the doubt. I wouldn't even say for that just first year, the second year too. Then you add on top, you sandwich on top George Russell in the way that he was acting and him being bullish on whether it's team orders or strategies or being able to help his teammate. And I get it. George Russell wants to be a world champion. They all do. You know, like at the end of the day, your biggest competitor is the person that's in the same machinery as you. However, there were sacrifices that Lewis Hamilton made. And at some point, you have to look. My mom told me self-preservation is the law of the land. It just is. Okay. And at some point, you have to preserve yourself. Also, too, look at Max Verstappen, where he is and how he's racking up all these world championships. By the time Lewis gets 8th, if he keeps on the way he is with Mercedes, by the time Lewis Hamilton gets his 8th world title, Max Verstappen probably going to be right behind him with the 7 anyway. You know what I mean? And you don't want that. You want to get life is so short and you're only in this sport for so many years. You saw like Sebastian Vettel. You saw the way, I mean, it could be taken away from you in a blink of a second. Look at Ayrton Senna. Correct. So you have to every single day wake up with intention and purpose of what can I do to hurry up to facilitate this process at lightning speed to be a world champion. And at this point, him going to Ferrari, I hope, is the answer to that.
And that's where I want to go as we on the second half, hope. And I think you say hope because of the same reason I'm going to ask this question. And I said this at the beginning of the year when everybody was still harping about Mercedes failing, about Mercedes concept. And I said, you know what? You all are so polarized by Mercedes because they've been so great for so long. When a giant falls, everybody hears it, sees it, feels it. When somebody else who hasn't been up there, when a giant is already falling, you don't know whether they're getting up or they're stumbling again because you're paying attention to the new giant. Ferrari had just as many L's as damn Mercedes was at a point in time. They were struggling with design. I know their drivers were able to get up some race wins. And Lewis Hamilton, had he been in Ferrari, then he would have been able to do the same. But still, would he have been able to mount a championship battle? I don't think so in the direction that Ferrari was going then. And we saw that because they changed direction. So now it's about, are people going to dismiss all of the criticism they've had about Ferrari due to Lewis Hamilton being there now? How can you dismiss the criticism of Ferrari and their strategies, A through double Z? You can't dismiss that. How do you dismiss the unreliability of their power units, not only in their cars, but their customer cars? You can't dismiss that. How do you dismiss their dysfunctional organization? We've seen Bonota walk off a pit wall. Fred Vasseur comes in. They give him my brother gas station ingredients to make filet mignon and beef Wellington. And credit to Fred. He did a phenomenal job in place because I think there are certain things you look for when you have a coach change, a GM change, or a presidential change. You look and see there's a mess now. But what do they do with that mess? I'm not necessarily looking for them to just be over the hill, awesomely productive, but how they start to structure their house for the next time coming is going to tell me what they may do. And I think Fred did an awesome job, not only in team principle, but trying to gather pieces by also facilitating two drivers in press conferences when he made it known that I'm not concerned about Vegas and all the hoopla. I'm concerned that the missteps in Vegas have cost us a car and then a cost cap. And I think Fred is going to do an awesome job with that. But still, does all of that stuff get overcome in order for Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton and Charles to actually mount a championship battle? What do you say about that?
That is going to be the question that is going to be answered. And I don't even think it's going to be answered in 2025, to be honest, because he has to get his feet underneath the desk first. And we have to see what that looks like. Now, you can see, and I'll just give an example, and I don't even know how, this is a long shot, but Carlos Sainz, when he came to the team, there was before he came to the team, there was a very big disconnect between the driver and the mechanics, and then also like the way that the car was set up. But what Carlos did that was different from even what Charles did was he worked hand in hand with the engineers, kind of like Michael Schumacher did.
Right.
Now, Lewis Hamilton, I feel like, I don't know what barriers, because we don't. Because Ferrari, they are really like, they hold their issues close to their chest till it basically implodes and then we all find out about it.
Correct.
So we don't know the inner workings on how Mercedes works. I just saw what did work. Carlos went in, he worked hand in hand with the engineers. They were able to construct a car that he was beating Charles Leclerc in. The same thing with Michael Schumacher. Ferrari became extremely competitive when Michael Schumacher was sitting in that garage night in and night out testing with those engineers. So Lewis said that Mercedes wasn't listening. Hopefully Ferrari listens even more. And also, Lewis Hamilton is an engineer in himself. He knows the setup of a car, of what works and what doesn't work. All those drivers do. And considering that he's been in a championship winning car for as long as he has, I'm wondering what he will bring in that beautiful mind of his to Ferrari.
Right.
So these are my hopes. These are my hopes.
Right,
okay.
Right. They are hopes, but you have evidence. You have articles of evidence that help support your hopes to hopefully look at something and anticipate what may happen. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people right now, even us, highly focused on 2025 due to what Lewis Hamilton does. And I tell people all the time, that's how you know who the man still fucking is. Lewis Hamilton news come out, stock prices raise. People say, you know what? Fuck 2024. What's going to happen in 2025? They are there. Whatever happened in 2024, whatever. 2025, when's that coming? That's how you know who's still the man. But let's talk about 2024, because right now I feel like two teams specifically are on an audition. Ferrari is auditioning to hopefully let Lewis Hamilton know this is what we're preparing and what we will have coming and waiting for you when you get here. Mercedes is on audition to show Lewis, had you given us the time, this is what we would have done and what we could have done. But more so, George Russell, this is what you will have going forward. So don't worry about losing under advisement of Lewis Hamilton, which your ass didn't really take under advisement anyway. And that's going to show. So not only Russell is on audition, but Mercedes is on audition. Who do you think, in your eyes, will audition the best?
I feel like I agree with you. Mercedes has something to prove now. They do. However, who's going to do the work? It seems like even all the way up to this point, Ferrari at least is attempting to do the work to make sure that they have the best car. So, I mean, 90%. 2024 is going to tell a lot. We'll know, I think, mid-season who's doing what, for sure. Now, preseason testing is probably not going to tell us anything. The first few races probably aren't going to tell us anything. But I think that halfway mark is going to tell us a whole lot. So I got to come back so we can talk about this, this question back. that you just asked me, because it's so hard to tell. I was going to say something else. I lost my train of thought. But in the meantime, and I just got to talk about Carlos because I'm so sad. But Carlos. I really feel like there is hope for Carlos. My predictions is, because of his dad, I think that he will come back. It would be cool if he took a year off and came back with Audi in 2026. That's what I'm predicting. I don't see him. I don't know. I just don't see like anywhere else that he would go into me because of his dad, and his dad's very successful career in rally racing, and also his dad being honored recently by Audi in Spain for all the accolades that he did in rally. I think that he solidified that partnership for the Sainz family. With Audi, in my opinion. Yeah.
All right. So, Audi 2026, Carlos Sainz is where you think he'll land there.
I think he could take a hiatus for a year. I mean, we
often. I don't want to change. I don't want to give a double standard, because I am a component of, if you take time off, you're losing time in the seat, and losing time in the seat is kind of dulling
well,
your
maybe
skills.
he could race rally or something. Maybe he could go do
right.
something else. That's
He
what I
could.
mean.
He could.
I'm
As
not
long as
talking
he
about
stays
go
active.
get on a yacht and like be on vacation
Okay.
for a whole year. I think that going to another racing series. I mean, I hate to even
think
like
that's totally
jump
possible.
from like one subject to another. But looking at how happy Romain Grosjean was, I mean, I went to Rolex 24 Hour and he was there racing, but they had to retire his car because of mechanical failure. But you could just see how happy he is. And even K-Mag, when he went away from F1 and came back, right. You know, he had a bit of like fervor when he came back. So right. Maybe Carlos would be the same way if that's what he chooses to do.
Right. I hope Carlos is not the same way. I hope Carlos is better because
Romain Grosjean,
right. Romain Grosjean left. He still ain't that good. But happier, which is good for him. He's happy. He's happy.
He had mental health struggles when he was in Formula One.
That's
so
right.
for him to be in a place where he's happy and still not with those health struggles, that's a win.
That's a win. And I say that every time. Everybody's not built for Formula One. You can go to another racing series and be successful and be happy. And it's just not, everybody's not meant for the tip of the iceberg. And I'm not trying to diminish anybody's life or their goals. I'm just saying that it's just a reality and it's a fact. Everybody is not meant for every category in life. Some people perform better here, but they don't perform better there. And I would like to say, even Giovinazzi had his moment to come back, and he still wasn't good. But he had a moment to come back. So there's not a doubt in my mind.
Giovinazzi won Le Mans. Okay,
yeah, you know what? He won that by committee. Let's stop playing.
He won it by He was a part of the winning team.
Exactly.
Part of the winning team. We're going to take it.
He was a part of a winning team that was comprised of three other drivers.
Antonio Giovinazzi.
Okay, let me ask you this. What the hell did Giovinazzi do when he came back in for testing? What the hell did he do?
It doesn't matter. He was a part of the team. But so if you're a Laker, right? You're a Laker and you was on the team with Kobe and you was sitting on the bench, you still got a ring, didn't you?
Yeah, I still got a ring, but you know when people say, "Bro, you didn't even really do it," what I'm supposed to say, like, "Man, you tripping?" Nah, you're right. I really didn't do it. I keep it real.
You gonna say, "I don't want the ring"? No, I don't want the ring.
I'm taking the ring, but if somebody contests me at a conversation, I got to keep this shit real. Yeah, you're right. I was on the bench, bro. You know, I was. You're right. What I'm supposed to say, Giovinazzi got to keep it real. Bro was not good on his own in Formula One. It's like when you get to Formula One, it's just more like golf or tennis. You're it. Okay, yes. When you're in Le Mans, that's by a team committee. So a lot of people sitting on the bench with LeBron James, they happy LeBron James did what he did. They happy that Kyrie Irving did what he did. We happy. People that sit in the front office got a damn ring too. So let's not act funny. Yeah, Giovinazzi.
Filing paperwork. I would have been right there sending off every piece of mail with my ring. Hey.
Right, just like this. Take a picture. I'm gonna scan this shit in right now. You see it. I'm not mad at Giovinazzi.
Shout out to Jeannie. Huge shout out to Jeannie. Go girl. The Lakers.
Do your thing. I'm not mad at all at Gio, and I think that he is evidence for what I'm saying, that you can go elsewhere and race in a different capacity and be successful. And I think that's very important for drivers to realize that sooner than later, instead of holding on to something, feeling like you got to give up. There's way too much to do in motorsports for you to only feel like it's either this or die. And it's not. It's not that. And I wish other drivers would recognize that after some time of results and factual data telling you you're not very competitive here. Let's go and try somewhere else. Because that's not an opinion.
I think this is a Logan statement.
Yep, Logan, you're on the hot seat for 2024. From one American who served in the military to another American who got quoted as Captain America, bro. I'm gonna be on your ass 2024, bro. I'm gonna be on your ass. I bullshit you not. Yes, I am. So I tell you what. Let me ask you this. What do you see? Because I'm telling you, in my opinion, and I could be a bit aggressive. Lewis Hamilton, to me, is playing. I would feel like I'm playing with house money. You know what? I'm coming back 2024. I'm with Mercedes. I'm all dialed in. I'm going to be with Ferrari next season. Contracts is ready. George, all that bullshit last season, bro. Shit, try it this year, Max.
I ain't testing nothing. They putting all that on your car. We ain't doing none of that.
That's his job. That's your boy's job. Max Verstappen. We going into this turn. Oh, bro, you think you're not gonna be cutting some grass? I'm about to turn that fucking Red Bull into a John Deere lawnmower,
bro. Oh my gosh.
Max, bro. Let me tell you something. we going out together or we going through whatever's gonna happen. I'm playing with house money. You know what? Listen, your tire strategy last season, Bono, tell the motherfuckers I'm coming in. Get my shit ready. I don't care about the button. When I cross the line, have my shit ready. I'm coming in and I'm telling you what I want. I think Lewis Hamilton's playing with house money. I think this is the time to make a statement and let people know. Let George know. Let Max know. Let the world know. When you see me at Ferrari, just understand the mentality is going to be different. I think that. Just tell me what you think about that. How would you go into it?
Shit is going up. Okay.
You see, I got the camo on. Got the camo on. Let's go.
Like, look, I can so see that point. And he doesn't have anything to lose. And that's the part that I really love, because for the longest time he had to play calm. He had to play nice. He couldn't be dirty. He could get his elbows out, but we all saw what happens when Lewis really sticks his elbows out. And you have Christian Horner crying, and then you have like, oh my gosh, he put my driver in the hospital for precautionary checks, bro. Cut the games. But I really think that I agree with you this season. If the car is competitive, I feel like Lewis should throw it all out there. Another thing that I am concerned about, though, is I know that when the team knows that the driver is going on to another team, they do tend to shut them out of a lot of things for further development of the car for the next season. I don't know if that's even going to affect Lewis. But then also, are they going to be committed to him? Are they going to be committed to George? And who's going to have that seat once Lewis leaves? That's another question. Are the drivers really still scrapping for that Mercedes seat? And that should be another reason why Mercedes should be on audition, because they have to figure out who is the person. Is Mick Schumacher going to get into that seat, and then they move up another reserve driver, or are they going to try to take another driver like, I don't know, Checo Perez?
Right.
And put them into the Mercedes seat. So like you said, there is another reason why Mercedes has to make sure that they're performing on par or above par this year, because they have to look attractive to somebody.
Got to be an attractive destination. Nobody gonna tourist there. Nobody gonna tour there. Nobody vacation.
Do you really think? Yeah, but do you really think, Jay? Who would be worthy of that Mercedes seat? But it's is that honestly, the seat to be worthy of?
Right,
at this point.
That is exactly what I was just going to say.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is, because it's a seat by a team who has done great things, and everybody has at some point. Nobody's great forever. Ferrari proved that. They haven't been great for a long time. They're starting to look like the Dallas Cowboys in Formula One.
Oh, man, come on. That is a low blow. That's
you're right. You're right.
Dallas?
You're right. It's a low blow. I ain't gonna front. It's a low blow. I intended for it to be that. I'm hoping it motivates him. You damn right it was a low blow.
Oh, my God.
Your boy gonna keep it real. It was a low blow, and I'm hoping they hear it and be like, you know what, we got to do something. But I'm just saying, a team that once was great, they still get that check. Hasn't been doing so great for some time. But those things come in seasons. It doesn't mean they won't return to greatness. And the same thing could go for Mercedes. It might be some seasons before they get back on top and start winning championships, and maybe even more so driver championships. But I don't doubt that they'll be able to do it. Like I've never doubted that Ferrari will have an emergence again sometime in the future. And who knows when that's going to be. So with that being the case, it's like you're running out of all the savings that you had of being good, because you cashed out a lot of that by building a shit car 2 seasons in a row. Had you built a competitive car, your savings account would be a lot more saved up because you wouldn't have used so much. But people look at you now and say, damn, can they develop? Damn. Can they keep personnel? Damn. Can they keep a GOAT driver? The answer is no, no, and no. So now it's becoming to be a destination that might be more suitable for something like Alex Albon, Alonso on the back half of his career, Perez after having a very lackluster in comparison season to Max, because let's be honest, Perez still drove well. He made a lot of mistakes, but there are a lot of ingredients in there that are contributed by Red Bull that could say he didn't have an even fairness fight. So I'll leave it there. Yeah. I won't go into conspiracy theories. So maybe Perez, but at the end of the day, George Russell's going to have to be your guy. George Russell's going to have to be your guy. And I'm going to tell you this. If they come into 2025 and George Russell is not appointed the guy by Mercedes, they're going to look foolish. Because now you're telling us that you allowed yourself to have what came out to be a driver struggle by allowing this young man to come in and think he was due more than he got, and you let him get away with it. He better fucking be your guy. You allowed him to come in, derail what Mercedes has always put in place since Valtteri and Lewis with the strategy. He better fucking be your guy. You let this dude do what he said. Lewis come and apologize. If you don't have George Russell as your guy next season, what the hell are you really doing? So now it's a no, 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 and hell no. Mercedes got a lot to prove in these next couple of seasons. I don't even bullshit you not. And I'm going to let you close us out on saying, what do you have to say about that?
So what I have to say about what Mercedes has to prove along with George Russell, there is a difference, and there is a circumstance when you have experience. George Russell still does not, in comparison to Lewis Hamilton, does not have the experience that Mercedes needs to help them facilitate in constructing a better car. I still think that that's Lewis. But is Lewis going to waste his mental capacity on that? Probably not. So like you said, a lot of it's going to fall on George Russell, but not necessarily George Russell. I mean, you know how much I like Toto Wolff. Shout out Toto Wolff.
Shout out
T
Toto.
Wolff. But a lot of it is going to have to come down to Toto Wolff. I know that they brought James Allison in, and they are going to pay him a whole lot of money to stay and retain him. But are all those moving pieces going to work for Mercedes? And to be honest, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. So they unveil their car in a week.
The 14th, right.
Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. So
About a week and a half.
A week and a half. Okay. Right. And that really doesn't tell us anything.
No.
But we're gonna have to wait to see till it gets on the track, because they were like, oh my gosh, the car looks fast. Yeah, all the cars look fast. Even the one that looked like a dolphin looked fast until it wasn't. But but I think that that's what it's gonna have to take. But at the end of the day, this is what they all chose. Do you think that Toto Wolff was like as shocked as he portrayed to be in his interview of Lewis Hamilton leaving? I kind of felt like the writings were on the wall, especially like when Charles Leclerc, he was speaking in his interview, and he's like, hi, Lewis. Right. They all had, I think that Lewis and Ferrari were courting each other then. Right. And people knew about it. And I really feel like, come on, Toto Wolff, he's like, yeah, like I said, he's the Barack Obama of the paddocks. I know he knew too. Right. But I think Lewis pulling the trigger and activating, because didn't he have to activate a certain part of his contract to be able to get out, that clause where he was able to get out of his contract? He had to activate that. Right. So that's how they basically were like, oh my gosh, he's not playing around. He's actually leaving. It's because he had to activate that clause. But no, all right, George, we got to see what you got. Like you, but see, George, this is what George wanted though. George, when George went to Mercedes, and we all knew that George came, they brought George to, they were intentional on bringing George to Mercedes because they're like, he's the future of Mercedes. Correct. Did we think, or did George even think that it was going to come this soon? Is the question. And is he ready for it? Is he going to stand up to the task? Because whoever comes into that next seat, they're going to have something to prove as well. And are they going to outshine George or not? Right. You know, that could be another possibility. Like, say if you bring Checo Perez to Mercedes, just theoretically, Checo Perez has way more experience than George Russell. Yeah. And all of the intellectual, what am I trying to say? Intellectual property, intellectual perspective, like, intellectual all his knowledge, his knowledge of the intellectual property of Red Bull. Those drivers carry that information around, and you trying to tell me they don't share it? It's like that could be very strategic. And if Mercedes decides to bring somebody like Checo Perez on, because they're like, okay, like what does he know? I mean, he was in the car. What did the car feel like, and all that other stuff. So I know that plays a factor in it. So, I don't know. It could go either way. It's so much more than just a driver, though. And I think that's what a lot of people realize. it's so much more than just the man getting in the car or the woman. I'm not going to discount woman.
Hold on.
Or the woman, because I don't want to see another woman in Formula One.
Right.
But it's not about the person that gets in that car and just drives around a track. There's so much more that goes into it. And even when they change teams, it's not because Lewis Hamilton is just an 8-time world champion. I'm going to say 8-time world champion. I didn't misspeak. It's because all of the knowledge that he carries as well is what makes him valuable. And that's what make a lot of those drivers valuable. Even as much as we don't like Max Verstappen, if Max Verstappen was to go to like another team, he would be valuable because when you were driving that car off the rails, you had gained a lot of knowledge on how that car was constructed because you had to drive it. So any place that he goes, he would be valuable, in my opinion.
Right. Well, I think we're along the same lines, and I'm going to say this. There's a difference between Red Bull did and maybe you should try this when it comes to breaking NDAs and all this other stuff. It's all about how you say things. So I don't know what Checo would say if he went somewhere else, but Checo, if you're going to say it, just say, hey, you know what? Why don't you just try this? Don't say Red Bull did. Just say try that.
Just try this.
And George, I just hope you know, it depends on how fast you're going, how strong the wind is blowing, and what you drank last is going to determine how fast you get that spit in your face and how good it tastes when it comes back to you. So I hope everything in 2025 is good to you, brother. And with that being said, I'm with one of my favorite guests to be on the show, which will be on the show again, Tonya from Apex Takeover Podcast. You know where you can find her. I will put the links in the description. We will be back for another hot one coming up soon. We're going to be back multiple times through the season, multiple times through all of this, and a lot of times when things just pop off, we might just get on and give you all a gift because we know you like to see us. So with that being said, this is another episode of Performance Talk, and it's Tonya from Takeover Podcast. Y'all go check her out, go follow her, go subscribe, go watch everything, go listen to everything, and make sure you leave her a 5-star review on our podcast platform. You can find her everywhere digitally. Just put it in, all right? And with that said, Performance Talk is out. Peace. Thanks for watching another episode of Wolfpack Performance. Don't forget to check out some of my other content on Formula One and motorsports topics. Like, share, subscribe, and we go live on the weekends. See you soon.